The following may contain language that is not suitable for all audiences. Good evening. Well, hello everyone. Thank you for finding us, the Low Fact Podcast, and I suppose we can get right into it, huh?
Can I tell people what else we're on now?
Sure.
They probably already know because they already found us, but we're also on Spotify and iHeartRadio now too.
Okay, and subscribe or whatever it is to make the numbers go up. But anyway, so are we now getting into it?
Yes.
All right. So with the rash, or not with the rash, but criminal justice, crime in general, has been on my mind a lot lately, for no particular reason.
I was just about to ask why.
So, and there's two topics. So I don't know if we can do them both in one episode, and if not, we'll do them. We'll do the other one next time. So basically, the idea of qualified immunity and plea bargains. What?
I'm just wondering what I'm going to have to say about any of those things.
Well, qualified immunity, man, I think is kind of weird. I don't think it should exist.
You're going to have to explain what it is.
Okay, so basically, like for prosecutors, right? There's basically immunity. A prosecutor cannot be held responsible for doing stuff while they're a prosecutor.
That's like a get out of jail free card.
Yeah, and cops too.
Cops have qualified immunity.
Mm-hmm. And when they're doing their work, to a certain extent. I mean, it might be de facto. It might not be. It might not be written in stone. But cops generally have like some kind of. They get a lot of deference, and I don't know that anyone should have any kind of immunity. Now, that's basically a recipe for, well, that means nobody will want to do something. Nobody will want to be cops. And I'm just like, people are going to want to be cops. I know that for most jurisdictions, being a police officer is just crappy pay. But on the flip side of it, you don't have to, it's not as dangerous as in some places.
I don't think the pay is that crap. It depends on where you are, I suppose.
Well, yeah.
The pay is pretty good.
No, I mean, if you're in New York City, the pay's not that great compared to, surrounding areas.
Wait, it's not as good in the city?
In New York City, yeah, to be a police officer in New York City is not... You can get paid more going to, Arizona.
Really?
Yeah, you can get paid actually more money. And on top of that, you'll be in a place with a lower cost of living.
You don't have to deal with the fucking masses and dregs of humanity that live in cities.
Well, no, you have to. As a police officer, you have to deal with the masses and dregs of humanity, no matter where you go. The dregs are everywhere.
Mm.
But I do think that if they do something wrong, incorrect, like an example would be, a police officer makes a stop. And, he's kind of nervous and it's like, do you have any weapons? And if someone says, yes, I do. And then I think this actually happened. Then the police officer shoots a guy.
Yeah.
Well, no, that guy needs to be prosecuted.
Yeah, he does.
And the whole reason why I'm against the immunity, not of all kinds, but generally, mostly, is because I want people to put their money where their mouth is. People often, successful people, often talk about how they got there from their dogged determination and being good at what they do. Well, then, prove it. Because from what I've seen, although I'm not omniscient, there's a lot of people that are in jobs, in positions, and moving up and living quite happily that should not be in those jobs or positions. And they're only there because of, I don't know, nepotism, good fortune, whatever you want to call it. But it has nothing to do with their quote unquote abilities. And this is an old discussion between you and me, I'm not a big believer in your abilities making your fortune. I'm a big believer in your fortune making your fortune. Because to recap for people that have just found us, I basically feel that everyone puts forth an amount of effort that is pretty much the same. Whether you're incredibly smart,
The bare minimum.
no. Whether you're incredibly smart or incredibly stupid or, whatever. I do believe that there's a certain amount of equality among us as humans, and that is we are all equally useless. Some of us are smarter than others, some of us are taller than others, some of us are better looking than others. But,
Once again, the inspirational.
what?
I'm just imagining you being a self-help guru.
I'd probably be like Arlie Army in those Geico commercials.
Yeah.
But anyway, so, I get sick and tired of people sitting there talking about how when they're not as successful as they think they should be, it's always someone else's fault. And everybody else that's doing well, that's because they're whatever. They cheated, they got a leg up, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. And then every frickin' person that's doing really well is like, you know what, I put my ass to the grindstone and I worked hard and I never gave up, and this is what happened because, I overcame. And it's really annoying to hear someone talking about how they overcome everything to get to the professional position that they are in, and then something happens, like perhaps their wife is dying of cancer, and they're like, oh, why is all this bad shit happening to me? And it's not my story, but actually, it's not even a story of anybody I know. But, I have to tell that person, well, isn't it blatantly obvious? You're the one that killed your wife because you're the one that worked hard and was able to determine your own fate when shit was good. Why aren't you the one that, why aren't you the determiner of your fate when stuff goes bad?
Who honestly thinks like that, though?
What?
Well, he's going to... I mean, we always it's good when it's
not
good
someone
stuff.
Not someone who's doing really good is not going to think like that.
When it's good stuff, we always put it down to our own abilities, and when it's bad, we blame the universe or God or whatever.
I don't know that that's always like that.
Really?
Yeah, take a person who's had a whole bunch of crap thrown at them, and then at some point good stuff starts happening. So maybe they've already been forged, and like none of this bad junk I did for myself, so when the good stuff happens, like, wow, wow, great. And when people say, so, how'd you get this to happen? You're like, hell if I know, I didn't do it.
Yeah.
But going back to the immunity thing, I really, that's why I'm thinking I don't know that I wanted to, I don't think you should have it all the time.
Yeah, if you've got qualified immunity, then basically it's kind of going to encourage you to behave badly.
Not necessarily. Not everyone's going to behave badly. There are definitely people that will behave badly if they can. And there are people that won't. Even if they could. Because, while we're all the same, we probably act differently. And, we do different stuff. Just like I said, some of us are taller, some of us are shorter. Some of us are smarter, some of us are better looking. Whatever. Now, the devil being in the details, how do you enforce that? I don't know. I don't know that you can, but I think that I think all the people that sit there and believe that everything great happened because they are great, frickin' prove it. I mean, what do you mean you can't, dude? There are people that sit there and like prove the existence of God. I'm like, well, prove that you gotta, so what? Why? God's not sitting there saying I exist and I'm the greatest.
Because he's not a dictator.
I don't know. Maybe he is. Maybe he isn't.
I don't know.
What?
I haven't thought about the qualified immunity thing too much.
No, neither have I. I mean, and it shows.
And wait, plea bargains. What's the plea bargain part?
Oh, don't you think that it's funny that plea bargains work great if you're guilty?
Right.
Right? What if you're not guilty?
Then it's awful.
Right. But even if you're not guilty, you have to say that I'm guilty
to get it.
And I'm taking this lesser plea, right?
And you're guilty forever, even if you're innocent.
Well, yeah, because people put lots of weight on confessions, and I'm just like, you're idiots, because people think they can hold out, and I want to say, you put me in a room with somebody, I don't even have to torture them. I will have them.
How long?
Huh?
How long?
Doesn't matter. That's the dirty little secret, isn't it?
It's as long as you need. Like, you can. Yeah.
I mean, some people just aren't going to break for a while.
I would break. I think probably quite reasonably quickly.
And of course, this brings me to mind someone that really kind of annoyed me. But
personal friend, or like, is this someone we both know, or is this like a stranger?
No, it's a person we both know. It's a very confused person, but anyway. So that to me, I always thought was just kind of weird. You could be not guilty and poor, and not have enough money or assistance or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Support to be for something, serious, like, I don't know, murder.
Yeah.
And you just happen to look similar to the actual murderer, and all that.
You're in the vicinity,
and or even worse, you have no alibi. And you have an eyewitness, quote unquote eyewitness, which has been proved to be not so reliable. And now it's like, you can keep on saying you're not guilty, or you can just go ahead and admit to it and save us the time and money of having to go through a trial, and I won't go for the death penalty.
Man.
Right? So you have to lie. You have to lie and sit there and say, yeah, I killed that person.
And people really do, you're right, people really do put a lot of weight on the fact of somebody playing guilty. They're like, well, he pled guilty, so he must be guilty. I guess that's just ignorance.
It is. It's a bit of ignorance. And it's the kind of ignorance that I hope everyone, or most people, have the luxury of having, which would only happen if you don't live in an authoritarian regime.
Wait, full circle. So if there was no qualified immunity, then cops wouldn't be able to behave the way they do with soliciting fucking confessions out of people, right?
Well, no, because you're thinking about this in a vacuum. Cops have friends. They're called other cops.
Uh-huh. So what?
Huh?
So what?
Well, this goes to my thing. It's not about your abilities. It's about relationships. Because if it were only about abilities, you would not need relationships. And now that you have relationships, someone will cover your ass.
Right.
On the occasions that you screw up or you do something that's kind of minor, because you're, it reminds me of a movie line that kind of stuck with me. And that is, imagine you have to be the arbiter of someone's character based on one day. And what if on that one day, that person just went crazy? So, yeah, right? I mean, if you've got a friend and your friend just kind of loses his mind and decides to beat up somebody because he had a bad day or his wife left him or something happened.
Which freaking happens.
Sure. So, there's going to be people covering for people. And I'm not saying that it's even prevalent or that, I'm not saying that stuff like the bad stuff is prevalent. Because if it were, I guess we wouldn't really, it wouldn't be remarked upon. But, which leads me to tomorrow's topic. And you're going to have to tune in tomorrow to find it.